let's start. I've got the questions right here. First of all, thank you so much for the people that left a question in the comment section in one of my videos where I requested questions for me for a Q&A video. Thank you so much. It was really fun to see the questions. Also, I posted a little question box on my Instagram stories. I also received some questions there, so I'm gonna answer both. It's kind of a video to get to know me. Let's just get into it. The question that got asked the most is, I think, what is your job? Like, what kind of work do you do in Japan? I work in the sales department at a Japanese company. That's basically what I do for a full-time job, and it's mostly in Japanese. Like, basically, yeah, my job, I mainly use Japanese for my job. I would like to know, 1, why did you choose to work in Japan? 2, do you see yourself stay and live here for a long time? This is also one of the questions that I got asked the most. When I was almost graduating university, I had to choose for a career path. I had 2 options in my head, like staying in the Netherlands or going to Japan. At the beginning of my master's, I decided, okay, when I do my exchange in Japan, let me just do the job hunting. Let me see if I find something that I like. While experiencing that, I started to realize that Japan has a really interesting hiring system. If you are a new graduate, you have so many options. It matters less what degree you have. It has been changing a bit lately, but for example in the Netherlands and Europe in general, I think in US as well, usually people find a job in the field where they have educational background in. Japan, I guess what I felt like it was more about what kind of person you are. They do look at your experience and skills, obviously, but I felt like I had so many more options here, even though I have a good degree in Japanese language and culture. I could work in IT, I could work in, I don't know, banking if I want to. I could do something like very technical. Those were the options I would not have in the Netherlands. So I thought for the first step in my career, it's nice to come here and just challenge myself, do something that I would not be able to do in the Netherlands. And so for my first step, I thought it was good to come here. Yeah, that was basically the reason. Do you see yourself stay here for a long time? Yeah, I do. I do have a visa now for 5 years. I think that's like a very general like work permit visa that you can get if you start working here full time. Yeah, for now I want to stay here. But I don't know if it's gonna change. Maybe I'll go back to Netherlands or go somewhere else in the world. So, another work-related question. I'm just wondering if you think it's possible for a foreigner, or in case me as a fellow Dutchie, to work in Japan nowadays, especially without doing an exchange program at one of their universities, for example. Actually, so the thing is, like, just like she says, there are lots of people that work here as teachers, like English teaching. That's a very common job that foreigners here in Japan have. If there are any companies, like foreign companies that have a base here in Japan, like in Tokyo, then you could work there. I do have to be honest, like I've done job hunting here myself, and you know, you would have the most benefits if you are fluent in Japanese. Like the JLPT level, I think 3 or 2 is like a very good base. If you have that level, you can just have regular conversations in Japanese. If it's N1, like that's the highest, that's obviously like the best, but not every job requires you to have the proficiency. And there are jobs in Japan that you could do without, you know, speaking Japanese, but I would say it's still very hard to find a job when you're not able to speak Japanese. If you haven't done an exchange program, by the way, that's not necessary. Obviously, it's going to be a benefit, but it really depends on your skill and on your education background. If you have a very specific skill, like for example, engineering or something technical, lots of foreign engineers here that work here that are not that fluent in Japanese, and you can still do your work. So I guess it depends on the field of work you want to work in. In general, straightforward, I would say it's still kind of hard in Japan. Even though if you don't have a degree, it would be better if you have a certain level in Japanese language. I was always wondering if you miss anything back over in the Netherlands. Of course I miss the Netherlands. Like, I miss so many things about the Netherlands. I miss some of the food. Yeah, bread and cheese. Oh, bitterballen. I miss bitterballen so much. I miss the people, I miss the vibes, I miss the very, like, the nuchterheid van I don't know how to say this. I guess you could translate it as down to earth, but it's just very very chill, kind of laid back, straightforward, down to earth kind of feeling. And I miss that about Netherlands. My family, friends, obviously. Okay, which country do you feel better at home? In Japan or in the Netherlands, and why? Thank you. This is a question I got asked a lot during my whole life. Before I started living here in Japan, definitely the Netherlands, because I knew what it was like living there. That was my home ground. Since I've done the exchange and came here working, actually living here, I got to know that life here is also super nice and great, and that's why I eventually decided to move here. Both, I cannot choose. Okay, how do you feel that your uninterrupted 2 years of living in Japan has changed you? Is this positive or negative? Very hard to answer just in one word. I've lived my whole life in the Netherlands. I grew up there. I moved to Japan when starting a full-time job. These 2 years, first of all, in general, I've just grown a lot. I've learned so much about full-time, like working full-time, the real adult life, you know what I mean? My respect for adults have gained so much. It has given me a new perspective in life. Yeah, making the decision of coming here, it was a challenging decision, but okay, let's just summarize. I've gained more insight. I have so much more respect for different, kind of people in the world. I think I am less insecure about going out of my comfort zone. Okay, second question. Oh, so in general, it's positive, by the way. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your own Japanese and Dutch and English? This is also very interesting. So I speak 3 languages. I would say my mother tongue is Dutch and Japanese. I grew up speaking these 2 languages. Throughout different phases in my life, my level of each language have really shifted. Now, like having a job here in Japan, Japanese has even gone up more. On a scale of 1 to 10, Dutch is my mother tongue, like I don't know. Yeah, 9. Japanese is 8, I guess, and then English is also 8. Maybe it's 7.5, because even though like I do these videos in English, but you might notice that I stumble on words sometimes and my grammar is incorrect because it's not my native language. Or you could hear my accent, I think. Like that's the rate I would give it right now. Next question. Where do you buy your clothes? Your outfit always looks so romantic, casual, chic. Would love to see an outfit video. Oh! And then there's another person that says, oh, seconded. I love all Nina's outfits. I'm so curious about this as well. Thank you. I didn't expect this question, but thank you so much, because I personally really love clothing. I love fashion myself. Right now, lately, since I've moved to Japan, there's this like free size concept here in Japan. So it basically means one fits all kind of thing. But honestly, like I am pretty tall, like I'm 177. My arms and my legs are pretty long. So when I just buy a regular piece, which is free size, the sleeves are too short or the length of the pants or the skirt is too short. So usually go to places where they have relatively bigger sizes. For example, like Uniqlo. Some Japanese brands I like are Lowry's Farm, Metro Beauty Basic. Let me also put some here if I come up with some. Also, I do like buying stuff online lately. Sometimes I use ZozoTown, which is a Japanese like clothing online web store. Okay, next question. What do you like to do when you have time off, free time? Groetjes. Thank you well. For people that watch my vlogs, I guess you kind of can tell, but I love going to cafes, I love going to museums, I love spending time just with my friends, family. I really like watching YouTube, I like watching movies and like Netflix. I also love to draw. I think those are the things that I spend doing in my free time. If you could have one superpower, what would it be? This is a fun question. I think teleportation, because I don't know if that's a superpower, but I would love to go back and forth to Japan and the Netherlands without having to worry about traveling. Just in general, how cool would it be? You could have so many benefits, I guess. So yeah, teleportation. Oh no, the memory was full, so I had to. Okay, let's continue. Actually, let me stop here and I'll make a part 2 of this Q&A video. Thank you all so much for watching. I think I'll put out a vlog first and then the rest of the Q&A just to switch it up. Okay, thank you. See you in the next video. Bye.